Hey, what's going on YouTube? Marine X back at it again. One of the first things I do in the morning is I normally put on a watch, grab and make some coffee, espresso, Americano, whatever I'm doing that day. Put the knife in the pocket, decide if I'm going to carry a flashlight that day. And then almost immediately, I get to my EDC journal. I begin to journal and think about the things I need to do for that day. In the past, I've talked about stop carrying a EDC journal. I've said that before, but I said that to those that absolutely, for the folks that don't carry them, if you're not carrying them, don't spend the money on these journals, on the pens, on the notebooks, the spirals, all that stuff. But if you actively use your items, then 100% I would say to carry an EDC journal. But I want to talk about everyday carry journals, how I use them, and how you may want to use them as well. So let's just kind of jump right in to this information so I can just talk about how I use mine and if it makes a lot of sense for you. So let's talk about the different categories of journals that I carry and how I use them overall. So we're going to start off with the traditional journal. So I have everyday carry journals. These are journals that I use every day to write down the tasks that I have, any notes that I want to take, anything that has to do with my job or whatever. I write them in journals like this, but I'm going to talk about stuff that I use stationary and things that I use on the go, et cetera, et cetera. So inside of some of my pouches, I may carry a journal. So you may have seen this is I think the Commander pouch by Nutsack. So outfitted in this right now is an actual full loadout, but in here I may actually carry some small field notes or field books or whatever other folks carry as well. You can carry inside of these things. The one thing I would say for field notes and field books, if you use these on the go, I would recommend that you tape the side. As I use these over and over, sometimes they rip, they get torn up. And I just noticed that the binding of field notes comes apart. And I know that one of their competitors is field books. Field notes are made in the USA. I think field books are made overseas. I just noticed that field notes hold up better. That's just my opinion. I normally use, I like dotted or grid paper for my field notes because I feel like it's easier for me to write, also to journal, but also to, if I need to sketch something or whatever, a diagram or whatever, that's just how I like to outfit this. So that's how I use field notes. These are just on the go, quick notes. I oftentimes will sometimes even write my grocery list in here and not take a phone with me to the store and use an actual field notes and try to do the math by hand. I like to do stuff like that, but this isn't for the big chunky stuff. So that's how I use field notes. You can use it however you want. If you want to write a note on someone's car that you put their windshield wiper down, if you want to leave a note to somebody, give your phone number to someone without having to hand your phone over like we do nowadays. That's the primary use for me in that size of field notes. And then I have reporter style field notes. Now I use these for taking down extensive amount of notes for a longer ideas list. So if I'm trying to think of a new EDC loadout, if I have a shot list for a YouTube video, if I'm taking extensive notes during a work meeting, I can take down a whole lot of notes and not have to constantly go to another page or use a big journal. These reporter style notebooks, I kind of see why reporters use them because they are beneficial for taking a lot of notes very, very quickly and just being able to use that. You don't need these, but I tend to notice that the reporter style is really good for long form, for like meetings, stuff like that. You don't need both, but that's just something that I use it for as well. Now, as I mentioned, you can carry the smaller field notes or you can get something a little bit bigger. So one of them here, this is the Write in the Rain. This is a number 773 Write in the Rain, a spiral notebook. I actually haven't started using this one. I picked it up to see if I would like it. And I don't know if I like the spiral idea for my everyday carries, especially if I'm putting them in bags or if I'm putting them in, pouches, but you may like it. This is also still this is grid paper, just in case I decide to use this. Will I use it? I'm not sure. It does have a ruler on the side. Write in the Rain makes some great products as well. So you got Write in the Rain, you got field notes. Those are probably my favorite go-tos. And then there's like stuff by Moleskine, another competitor. You can get something a little bit more muted. This might be better if you're going to be doing long form journaling, I would think. And this is has the dotted paper as well. I like how slim this is, but I don't like the fact that I feel like it can kind of just get lost in my bag. I like a little bit more stiff. So I don't necessarily want to stick this in the bag, but it's just another option for you. It still gives you the dotted lines and all that good stuff. But then what do we actually use for everyday journaling in preparation for my day? So this is kind of like the EDC journals that I've used over the years, and each of them have their own purposes. So I started off with the larger moleskin notebooks, and after using this for a year, I decided I don't like the size of it. It's just a little bit too big, but I do like it for this is my 2021 notebook. So I do like it for how I'm able to take notes. I'm able to quickly write stuff in here, just jot stuff down. I had several of these. I think I had 3 all in 2021 for different purposes. One for work, one for YouTube. It was a lot going on. They were really big. They was cool and all, but I changed later on in that year and decided that this really wasn't for me. But you may like the size of this. I think this is a traditional 8.5 by 11, but that might be something that you want to use. But I kind of, for a very long time, I used Hive notebooks. This is my 2022 notebook that I used. I used Hive notebooks, and they make some great notebooks, mostly from recycled materials. And the pages themselves for Hive are actually made of crushed stone. So in here, you can feel the pages themselves feel a little bit different. They feel like crushed stone. Sometimes the ink takes a little bit longer to dry, but even with that type of thing to think about, it still works pretty well. And when I get done with an EDC journal, I store them for the year, and I normally try to keep these up by date so I can, if I ever need to reference something back, then that's what I go to. All right, so I talked about the different journals. Let's talk about how I use my journals daily, and we're going to talk about that by actually jumping into my notes for today. Now, I've landed for my daily journaling on my own notebook that I sell on my website, shameless self-promotion. Any of the stuff I'll link up down below that you may want to use. I have an assortment of pens that I may use, so it just really depends. So for me specifically, I will just show you a couple that are kind of pertinent for me. You can either use Bolt Action, or you can use Cyclic, or you can use traditional G2 or whatever type of pens that you may find at the store. I like to use pens that make me feel excited to write. So I think that Pilot G2s are great. They're affordable. You can pick them up everywhere. But these type of pens make me excited to actually journal every single day. So this is a Cyclic pen by Tactile Turn, and this is a Bolt Action pen by Bastion. Now you have roller, you have ballpoint, you have inkjet, you have you can do, I don't necessarily use fountain pens, but you can use fountain pens as well. So find the type of ink and the type of input method or lay down method for the ink itself that you like, and then kind of stick to that. But for today, we're going to use Tactile Turn's Force Patina pen, so to kind of get the day going. So how I actually go through and make my notes. So what I normally will do is I will take the day, month, year. So I will say today is Thursday, and we'll bring you in a little bit closer. All right, so Thursday, May 2nd, 2024 is normally how I start off. And then I will do primary tasks. And then I just normally will skip 5-6 lines or whatever. Secondary tasks. And then I have tertiary tasks. Now I know that for all of these tasks, these all have different purposes. These all have different time frames when they need to be done. And I'll explain that as we go along. So don't make fun of my handwriting. This is how I like to do things. All right, so we have the task for the day, and then this entire side of the notebook is 100% for notes that I may have, ideas that I may have. If I have a quick meeting at work or whatever, I'll use this entire side for notes, and anything from notes could become a task either this day or another day. So how do I go about primary tasks, secondary tasks, and tertiary tasks? Normally what I do is things that I know need to be done that day are primary, period. Before I lay my head down to sleep, these are things that have to be done for the day. Secondary tasks are things I know need to be done soon, normally by week's end. Today being Thursday, I say week's end. For me, is normally Friday because I normally don't journal on Saturdays. So I'll put that down. And then tertiary tasks are things I hope to get done this month, maybe get done this quarter, but they're not pertinent type things. And these are normally a running list of tasks or ideas that I have that I go over. So that's number one. Secondly, I do have a legend of how I actually go about writing these things. So if the task is completely open, so we'll just put a large square for a task that's completely open. For a task that has been, so this is an open, not complete. And then we have partial completion. And partially complete is a square that is halfway filled in. Okay. Then if I have a task I'm moving to another day, it's a square that has an arrow through it. So all tasks start off with an open square. If it's moving to another day, then it's move to another day. And then if I cancel a task or I'm not going to be doing it at all whatsoever, I normally would just draw a large X. This is how I do it, but you can do it however you want. Everybody has their different methods for going about this. Okay. So that's how I kind of do these things. So let's just write a couple of things that I have to do for the day down so you can kind of get a gist of how you may want to do some stuff as well. So for here, I know that for my actual job, I have some stuff to do. So one of those things to do is upload some reports to Microsoft 365. All right, so that's something that I understand specifically for my job that I need to do. For me, I know I want to edit my Ben Roos video. So I've recently did a review on a Ben Roos watch. I want to edit that. It may not post for a while, but I want to edit the Ben Roos video. We're going to check MarineX emails, and then the tasks go from there. Secondary tasks that might be for today would be stuff like go to post office. I do have things at the post office to be picked up, but those normally have a 2-day window for me to pick them up. And so I can go and pick up mail, and I can just put this here to let me know, but hey, by Friday or hopefully by today, I'll get that stuff as well. Another task would be, I want to start the demolition work for some tile around my fireplace. So start demo work on tile. Another thing is Mrs. X's birthday is coming up this weekend, so I know I need to, by the week's end, to do some birthday shopping. Now, some tertiary tasks, right? Some tertiary tasks, things that I'm hoping to get done, but they may not get done this week, but they all start off with the same thing. So some tertiary tasks would be specifically to fix cement around pool. Now, this is something I'm hoping to do this within this quarter, but you know, it is what it is. We'll write this down for something to do as well. Research, travel, Blade, Atlanta. All right, so these are things that I know I want to do every day. So this is the basic confines, basic setup for my EDC journal and how I use it. So the reason I like my notebook specifically, or you don't have to, any notebook that you have, make sure it has some type of way to have a bookmark, because throughout the day, I just kind of normally close this thing up, and I like to have something that can actually keep a hold of my pen. So that's a reason why I transitioned away from some of my other journals, is because I couldn't store the pen in the actual journal together. That's the basic overview, the basic way that I use EDC journals. There's not much more to it than that. So comment down below. Do you use EDC journals? Are you interested in it? Is this something that you would try yourselves? I would love to know what your comments down below. If this is your first time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you a part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, I'm not talking to you. I appreciate you once again for kicking the door in. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.